I'm Enamait from RossTraining.com. What I'm going to do in this video is talk about these handstand push-up handles. I first referenced these handles a few years ago on my blog. In the time since, they've been seen in a few past videos. I've also had them in the background on some of the more recent video tutorials. So as a result, I've had several questions come in to me about the handles. Did I buy them? Did I build them? In terms of actual use, what's the difference between performing handstand push-ups from handles like this when compared to performing the exercise from the floor, or maybe between blocks or chairs or even gymnastic parallel. So what I'll do within this video is address some of the more commonly asked questions, while also sharing some of the benefits that I've realized by working with these handles. Okay, to begin, I did not buy these, I built these handles. I don't know if there are commercial versions of handstand push-up handles similar to this or not. They're relatively easy to build and inexpensive, so I didn't see the need to pursue commercial options. As to where the idea came from, I first saw something similar to this in an old Carl Gotch VHS tape where he had a wrestler working with handstand push-ups using some handles that were similar to this. So that's where the idea came to me. As for putting them together, my design here is very simple. This certainly isn't a definitive model or design. It's just something that came to me. I had the lumber already on hand, so all that I needed to do was purchase the plumbing supplies which form the handle on top. Okay, as for the lumber, all that you have are a couple 4x4 inch strips here. I cut them to 12 inches. Probably could go a little shorter if you want, maybe 10 inches. The extra length hasn't bothered me though, they're still quite stable. Underneath that, I have a 2x10 inch strip here, okay, which forms the base. And then underneath that, I cut two 2x4s perpendicular to the 2x10, just to give me a little bit more stability on the ground. As for measurements, I don't recall, so we have 16 inches in length for the 2x4s. The 2x10 is about 14.5 inches. As for the handle itself, what I have here, this is a pipe flange that's connected to a 90-degree connector. The 90-degree connector then connects to a pipe nipple, which connects to another 90-degree connector, and another pipe flange. So if you choose to try to build something like this, what you're going to want to do is connect your plumbing supplies first. They're all threaded, so they screw into each other. So you're going to want to connect those tightly, get them stable and secure and straight, and then what you can do is sink your screws into the pipe flange to attach the handle to the actual base. So it's something that's pretty easy to build. In terms of cost, I had the lumber on hand as I mentioned, so my cost is probably somewhere around $20 to $30 for the plumbing supplies. I don't recall exactly, as it was a few years ago. But again, it's certainly not something that's going to break the bank. These handles are very durable. They've been used regularly for the last few years, and it appears as though they're going to last a very long time. So I'm definitely happy that I made them, that I took the time to put them together. So what we'll do now is discuss some of the other commonly asked questions about the handles. Okay, now before you go out and build something like this or buy something else, there needs to be justification for your investment in time and money. Why bother making something like this? What are the key benefits? So the most commonly asked question that I receive regarding the handles is, what's the difference between performing handstand push-ups from this type of handle when compared to performing handstand push-ups from the floor, or even from a pair of push-up handles like this? Okay, I see a lot of guys performing handstand push-ups from this type of handle. The key difference is range of motion. You will achieve much greater range of motion by working with this type of handle, which you can see next in the pictures that follow. Now, range of motion is not the only benefit to these handles, though, because if it was just about range of motion, someone might say, why not just perform the exercise in between chairs, or maybe between cement blocks such as these. In the past, I've actually used these exact blocks. I have stacked two on top of each other to give me a similar range of motion that I achieve with these handles. Some might say, what's the difference if I already have something like that? For me, one of the key differences is hand position. Again, with these handles, I can perform the exercise with my hands here. I can also turn them, perform them with my hands here. I'm not going to have that luxury if I'm using a chair or block such as these. It's also a much more comfortable grip for me to grab an actual handle that is similar to a dumbbell, which is another reason why I like these. In addition to that, I don't want two chairs sitting in the gym for the sole purpose of performing one exercise. I don't have a ton of space, so I need to use my space wisely. With these particular handles, the way that I made them, they can stack on top of each other. So as you can see here, I can stack my handles, grab them, and just simply take them out of my way. They'll fit right underneath my shelving. So when they're not in use, they're not taking up unnecessary space. I don't have two chairs just sitting in the gym, sitting idle until the next time we perform handstand push-ups. Now, some might still be saying, what about gymnastic parallettes? As you can see here, this is another homemade piece of equipment. Pretty inexpensive to make, not too difficult. This just comes from PVC. A lot of people use these to perform handstand push-ups. And it's a fine choice, particularly if you're working with your hands in this position. You're not going to notice too many differences between this and the handles when your hands are here. The difference comes into play when you vary your hand position, and I'll give you just a quick demonstration of that. You can see why I prefer to work with these handstand push-up handles. Now when I turn my hands in this fashion here, if I perform a handstand push-up from this position, I have handles under each hand, okay, directly underneath my hand. I have this nice balanced, sturdy, and stable handle. If I want to replicate this hand position with the parallettes, okay, if I back my hands up, you'll see what happens. Now I am gripping the parallettes all the way towards the end. I can't put my hands way up here, okay, because then my hands would be outside of this position. So rather than having this strong, stable base directly under each hand, now my hands are rested at the end of the parallette. So for me personally, again, personal preference is obviously a consideration, but personally, I feel much more comfortable working with this strong base underneath me. Now some might say, is it really worth making something like that when all you can really do is perform one exercise? Now obviously you can perform push-ups too with your feet elevated, but the sole exercise, the primary reason I use these is for handstand push-ups. For me the answer is yes. It's still a worthwhile investment in time and money. Okay? The handstand push-up is an exercise that I performed for years. It's an exercise that you will never outgrow. This is a tremendous strength movement. I don't care how strong you are, how long you've been training, you're not going to outgrow this exercise when working with a full range of motion. Even if you do get to the point where you can knock off several repetitions, all that you're going to need to do is add a weighted vest to make the exercise extremely difficult. Even an extra 10 or 20 pounds will greatly increase the difficulty of the exercise. As for past examples of handstand push-ups, if you look back to a lot of the strength athletes, from the past, you're going to see them working with handstand push-ups. Paul Anderson is a prime example, a true legend in terms of strength. You can find him on YouTube, old video of him working with his own handstand push-up, some type of homemade apparatus, in his prime as a strength athlete performing handstand push-ups. So again, it's not a movement that you're ever going to outgrow or you're going to get to the point that you're too strong for the exercise. It's particularly true again for larger, stronger athletes. You're going to be working with more weight, more body weight. so your exercise will naturally be more difficult for you. So again, if you're looking for a sturdy, stable base that's going to allow you to achieve full range of motion, these are fairly easy to build. It's not going to break the bank to put something like this together. If you have any further questions, by all means, please email me at ross@rosstraining.com. Thank you again.